Yo, good morning, afternoon, evening. Welcome back to Unplugged with Buddyred. Today, we're doing a nice little solo episode. I have a lot of listeners of the podcast and community members as well, with just a lot of questions and things. They want to know a little bit more about my background, just a lot of general questions about myself, and just a lot of things that are best suited for a nice little session. So, decided to boot this one up. We're live on Twitch right now, and we got chat. Chat's kind of trolling me, so I'm just going to ignore them because they're being bullies. Because my mods hate me, and as a good mod should. And we're just gonna have fun. Have a bunch of questions on in a nice little doc here, and chat's gonna be interacting and asking more questions and stuff like that as well over on twitch.tv/buddyred. That's enough self promo of the stream. We'll hop right into it. No post, but your bio listens. Yeah, I made a joke about OnlyFans, by the way, for the podcast listeners right before I started this, and now they're trying to make OnlyFans jokes. Anyways, about the solo bill episode, some of the questions we got. We'll start off nice and light with just a nice little backstory, I guess. True. I actually do need to do that big. That's a good one. Put the podcast on OnlyFans. Like, I think doing this podcast live is a mistake. I'm not going to get through anything, dude. My ADHD is way too strong to be able to stay on task. Anyways, little backstory. I've done this before. I think it was like episode 2 or maybe episode 1 when I used to have my co-host Covington on. And we just talked about like us growing up. A lot of like what I usually ask guests on the episodes of like their backstory and stuff like that. So if you want like a really in depth of my childhood and gaming path growing up, that's in the archives. If you guys want to check that out. But just a quick down and dirty. I've been off and on. I was a huge Nintendo kid, more than anything else. And PlayStation 2. I never owned Xbox. Didn't really play a whole lot of Halo or any of those Xbox exclusives. Really, really, really into Pokemon. That was my biggest thing, as well as a lot of the classics, but mostly Nintendo, Pokemon. PlayStation was a lot of sports games, or what else did I usually play? The Tasmanian Tiger. Those are some OG niche games that are really fun. Back on the PlayStation 2, PS3, PS4, sports games, Call of Duty, Borderlands, Far Cry, a lot of those bigger games from the bigger studios. And then I never really considered myself a gamer. I was very casual, except I played outside the fact that I'll just say I was a pretty casual gamer growing up. I wasn't like I spent a lot of time outside doing sports and stuff, so I didn't really have time for video games. Which is crazy because now I don't do anything besides sit and play video games and do content. But now it's a lot of, or then I think it was high school, I got it to more of a competitive side with Pokemon. So I started doing VGC. That's when I really found people like Shady Penguin and some other Pokemon YouTubers, and another guy, Fearless, used to be Fearless Firo, now is Fearless Ski. He still dabbles in content here and there. And they used to do a lot of viewer battles and stuff like that, like on Twitch, and make YouTube videos of it. So I got into the competitive scene of Pokemon a little bit there. Never did anything on the true competitive side, but it was a fun little niche thing I did, breeding Pokemon and all that stuff. And then it was actually Fearless Ski who, like, I watched him religiously. I was always there. Like, he was my first like big Twitch or like big streamer I interacted with, and he really like was the one that got me into creating content myself. Then I've always been watching YouTube since I was like 10, 12. A lot of the OG YouTubers and stuff like that. But yeah, so Fearless Ski was really the one that got me into content creation. And then once I graduated high school, I was in the Army National Guard, so I spent a good bit of time away from home and doing trainings and stuff because my unit did end up getting deployed, which I didn't deploy, but I did all the pre-deployment stuff, and then my contract expired, so I got out. My freshman year of college is when I started doing content creation and started dabbling a little bit with streaming and stuff just as a hobby. Trying to get into just general content creation. Streaming was my priority, and then I just want to dabble and have fun with like YouTube and stuff like that, making some videos and other things. All right, I'm gonna unpause the recording. I paused the recording. I don't remember what I was talking about now. Started dabbling in content creation. This thing is scuffed already. Started dabbling in content creation, so what? That was like 2017. So I've been around the block for a bit doing this stuff for fun, but never really wanted to take it seriously. It was always a hobby until about a year and a half ago now, I think. And then I really started picking it started picking up steam. Well, actually, what happened is I quit probably in 20 back in 2022. And then when I decided, I was like, you know what? I got my wife, which I'm going to give that backstory here in a bit, because a lot of people do ask about that as well. I and my wife got married, and then after I was like, I kind of want to get back into this like streaming thing and try it out again. And she was like, yeah, sure, whatever. We got married, and like 2 weeks later, I slowly started getting back into it, like 1 stream a week, 2 streams a week, 3, 4. Really started like ramping it up slowly. Now I'm only doing 3 days a week of streaming, but that's also because I try to take that extra time during the week and repurpose content and get content out to other platforms, especially like the podcast, which y'all know is bi-weekly and all that. And then I mean that's really where the story ends for that, though. I mean, that's like the content creation story. Now when we returned, we started back with Fortnite, and then over the last few months we've gotten into extraction shooters. Or I'd say back into extraction shooters, mostly playing Tarkov, and we did a few months stint of Delta Force, which was fun, but had to go back to, and now we're currently going through Arena Breakout. But I think once Arc Raiders drops, that's going to be a banger, dude. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then, so since I kind of alluded to it, I guess I'll give the backstory for how I met my wife, Bananarama. Some of y'all know her as Anna. I'm gonna get the initial years wrong. It might have been like 2017, 2018. So my wife and my sister met each other first, going to a summer band camp. Yeah, make all the jokes. My wife was going into her freshman year of college. So this would have been my summer going into my sophomore year of college, so she was going to her freshman year of college at that university. She graduated with a music education degree, so she played a flute all through college and stuff. She went to, my sister had gone to school initially for music as well, ended up dropping music and is now in nursing. But so they met there. At the time I was dating somebody, and my sister tells my now wife then that she doesn't like who I was dating, and she should date her brother. So my sister gives my wife my contact information, well, my Snapchat, and my sister gets home, and I think that night I get a Snapchat from some random chick. Like, she adds me, and then we start snapping a little bit. We talk, friendly conversation, a little back and forth, and I was like, but at the time I was dating somebody. I wasn't really, so I was like, all right, cool. And I just ghosted her. I didn't ever say anything. I just stopped responding one day, and that was it. I didn't add her or anything. We just stopped talking. And then late January, maybe early February of 2020, we matched on Tinder. And when I matched with her, I was like, I think I recognize her. I don't know why. And then so we matched, and we started talking and stuff, and and about a week deep into talking again, maybe it was like 2 weeks, we eventually set up a time to meet. And then the day before we were supposed to meet, I ghost her. Or I don't ghost her. I tell her something came up and that I can't make it because I was scared shitless and talked myself out of it and told her I couldn't meet. Then I ghost her and stopped talking to her for like a week. A week later, I'm like, I'm a fucking idiot because my wife's very pretty. I was like, all right. I reached back out. I'm like, hey, and she's like, what? And she's like, what the fuck do you want? And I'm like, hey, look, I'm sorry that I was like, would you like to try to meet again? Like, for whatever reason, she says yes, and then I mean that's basically it. Justified reply. Oh, 100%. I mean, the fact that she messages back at all is surprising, honestly. But then we met. I told her that I wasn't really looking for anything exactly. I don't know when I told her that, at some point, initially talking. But then we kept seeing each other. I kept going over to her house, and then COVID happened, and she locked me in her apartment, and I never left. Kidnapped me, and now I'm married with a mortgage and a baby. So that's our little, because a lot of people in the community have heard that I've ghosted her twice and that there's a story to it. But yeah, that's the, at least my side of the ghosting story. But I mean, it all worked out in the end, so might have not been the way to go about it. It was a very extended, 3-year way to connect and get together, but it all worked out in the end. But yeah, I mean, so that's my little backstory, of a very rapid backstory of gaming and getting into streaming and stuff, and then meeting the. All right, so we get some questions from the community as well. Which one do I want to tackle first? I think the first one that comes to mind, definitely, well, now more recently, because it's definitely going to be a game I stream heavily, is going to be Arc Raiders. It wasn't on my radar at all at the start. Didn't know it was really going to be a thing. One of my mods had been talking about it a good bit, but I was like, that's cool. At first, it didn't really appease to me too much, and then like when that second tech test dropped, dude, it was like everybody and their mother was playing it. I was like, what is this? And I realized it was an extraction shooter. That really pulled me in. I watched some gameplay. I was like, all right, well, I want to see if I can get access. I got lucky enough to get some access. I played only 10 hours of it, but dude, that 10 hours was fucking phenomenal. It's to the point where I'm making an Arc Raiders YouTube video and trying to pump that out as fast as I can, because I just enjoy that game so much, and I'm keeping tabs. I'm checking the Discord, I'm checking the Twitter every single day. That game was so much fun, and it's going to be a staple for me for sure. So definitely looking forward to Arc Raiders. Borderlands is dropping in September, I believe. That one's on. I'm really excited to play that. I've always played all the Borderlands. They're just really, I just really enjoy that series. So we're really looking forward to that. Hoping Dragon Wilds gets some good updates by the end of the year. I do want to try that out at RuneScape Dragon Wilds. Just a little underbaked for me to try right now, but this is something that's on my radar as well. I'm trying to think what else. I'm just kind of going off the dome. Marathon looked pretty rough during the initial closed alpha test. So hopefully they give it the love it needs and take the very harsh criticism, constructive criticism, and do something with it. Embark is doing some insanely good job. Oh yeah, the Embark is. I mean, the finals is a great game. It just wasn't able to hit the mainstream market. But when I played it, it's a lot of fun. They make good games. They have good devs on the team, and playing Arc Raiders just felt good. Like, I'm really looking forward to that. I'm trying to think what else. GTA 6 is next year now. We just wife and I just finished Split Fiction. That was a lot of fun. So Split Fiction was on the radar and is now off the radar because we beat it. Fantastic game, by the way. If you have anybody to play with, just play anything from that entire dev team. Split Fiction, It Takes Two, A Way Out. Even though A Way Out's was their first co-op game they made. A little rough around the edges, but it's a lot of fun as well. Yeah, Split Fiction and It Takes Two is just phenomenal. What else do we got? Let me see if I can pull up a list. Video games. I was really looking forward to The Wolf Among Us last year, and it just never dropped. So I don't know if that's supposed to drop this year, but if that ever decides to drop, I'll be playing that as well. I really enjoyed the first one. Let's see I'll probably be playing that. Not on the Switch 2 because I'm poor. And that should be fun. And really just anything Pokemon I'm always going to play. I do kind of want to try Expedition 33. It does look really good. The biggest thing is I just don't know when I would have time to play it. But that game looks incredible. I have been watching like some playthroughs and stuff where bits and pieces on stream of people streaming it, but I do typically have to miss out on a lot of games just as time doesn't allow for a whole lot of time to play, which is just part of life, which we'll get into that as well. That's another question we have from the community of time management and how I get around doing it. Haze 2 is dropping on Switch 2. Don't care. I'm already out. Another Kirby game. That's cool. I think that's really the only ones I'm really keeping tabs on this year. I mean, if anything drops and picks up steam and really catches my attention, I'll give it some thought. But overall, of the titles that are to be dropping that aren't out yet, those are the ones that are on my radar currently. But with the time of how I don't have time to play everything. Another good question was, how do you manage content creation with a quote unquote real job, like a 9 to 5, parenting responsibilities, life duties, being married, just life. So it's something that I'm not gonna lie, I struggle with privately, and I've been trying to figure out. What's my train of thought? Managing life and everything. So yeah, and I've struggled with it, honestly, which I don't think I've really talked about too much. I mean, I've talked to some of my content creator friends and my mods and stuff like that privately, but I mean, it's hard. You only have 24 hours a day, and most of those hours are taken up by sleeping and responsibilities, right? And I mean, and with like most of the people I've talked to, or I mean, just even in other podcast episodes, there's just so much that goes on in your day-to-day life that you have to take priority over, and it's a struggle. I'm in therapy, just just in general, but it became a pretty big topic for me. I was like, I'm trying to manage my ADHD like efficiently. I've always had it. I've always gotten by with it, but I was really trying to tackle how to successfully manage it to the point where I wasn't struggling anymore, and it could have been where it can be a easier thing to handle. Which makes this in general, even when I have the time or find the time to create content and stuff, if I'm not streaming and like I'm supposed to be sitting down to edit, really struggle with it. One, my editing skills just aren't the best, which just takes time to improve and grow, but which means that it takes me longer to create that video content, on top of struggling to sit down and focus to make that content. It just kind of snowballs. So the biggest thing is just, and then I was also just I was trying to do too much at once. I had my hands in a lot of different pots. I was trying to be a streamer, a podcaster, a YouTuber, TikToker, making shorts every day. Even at some point, I was trying to do 2 shorts a day, which was insane. But I was like, well, these people do it. And then, most of the people that were doing more than 1 short a day, or even like 2 to 4 shorts a day, were people who were investing their 100% attention into content creation. And I was trying to compare myself to other people that just like, it's just not realistic. So I had to take a step back. I took a week off back in, I think, when was this chat? I think it was late February, early March. I think it was March. So I just took a week off of all content creation, didn't touch anything. I didn't let myself touch anything. And because realistically, I was sitting there and I was thinking about it. I was like, well, one, at this point, I can't even get a YouTube video up because either it's taking me way too long to get it up. So whatever I was trying to talk on, was kind of like, it had some type of time limit to it where I couldn't just sit on it forever and ever and ever. Anyway, like, even though I'm trying to make these YouTube videos, they're not getting produced anyway. So just put that on the back burner for now. And they kind of just, when I started admitting that to myself, kind of became like, well, there's a lot of things I'm trying to do all at the same time that also aren't getting done, which are just, so it's like, instead of just if I picked up one at a time that I could complete, instead of getting like 4 things a quarter of the way done, if I only had one of those 4, I could actually get it done. So that's the thought process that I started going through. So dropped everything for a week, and then a week later came back with only streaming. Streaming is my staple. It's what I feel like I know I'm good at streaming. I know how to stream. I'm effective and efficient with it. And it's also just easiest. It takes the least amount of time commitment outside of the fact that you actually have to be there to stream. Like, like YouTube videos, like whatever YouTube video you're doing, you have to make the content and then you have to edit the content. Or, I mean, with anything else outside of streaming, that's how it goes. Streaming, here's my time block. I want to be streaming for 2 to 4 hours. I get on, I stream, I get off. That's done. YouTube, all that stuff. The goal is always to repurpose the content of streaming into those videos, which I usually go into a stream with an idea of, if I can do this during the stream, then I can take this part and make it into a video, which is always the objective. But again, trying to find that time to edit and everything on top of that is just the struggle that I was finding, on top of podcasting and everything else. So, and then over just this year and having the podcast return, I found that I enjoyed the podcast, especially the fact that I didn't make it weekly and I switched it to bi-weekly. It gives me plenty of time to spread out interviews because that's like the hardest part about it, honestly, is just being able to find time for people to donate their own time for me for basically nothing in return. I mean, obviously they get some exposure through the podcast to somebody who may never heard of them or vice versa and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, they're donating their time for me with basically not expecting a whole lot in return, which, I mean, every guest I ever have on, I tell them, I was like, dude, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for being on in the first place. But so spreading out the podcast, especially if I have a really good week that lines up a lot, I could knock out like 3 or 4 podcasts within a 2-week window. Bi-weekly, that's a month and a half of content that's already set up. I don't remember what it was. Something from Twitch chat real quick though. Thing I'll say about content creation: you have to work for free till something works. But even better in gaming, no one just takes one type of game. People choose what they want their content to be, and they like multiple kinds of games, story, comp, etc. So you have an unlimited amount of options of what you can click, right, and make a good living off. That's true. Yeah. I mean, Bean Dip. I've definitely heard of Bean Dip. I might not follow her, but I've heard of her. But yeah, you're right, Big. I don't remember what I was talking about for the raid. Fellow streamer. I think I was talking about podcasting. But so, yeah, because I stepped back, got back into it. So when I got back into content creation after taking a week off, before that, before the raid, Big, I should have like a notepad so I can like write where I stopped. I returned to streaming after taking a break, and podcasting is easy because it is bi-weekly. I'm able to do what I need. And I also, when we record podcasts, or also you can upload videos as well if you need to, which this one, since this is a single track, I can. But I use a website called Riverside, and I think they're partnered with Spotify or something like that, or owned by Spotify maybe. But it's a podcasting platform where you record on the website. It uploads each video and audio quality independently. And then on the back end, combines it and layers it on its own. So it's seamless. Half the time when I'm recording with somebody, they look incredibly blurry, or there's a lot of audio issues that are like where they cut out and stuff. Where if I were to edit that through like a Discord call, it would take me forever to edit out, fix, line up everything correctly. That does all of that for me. So that cuts out like probably an hour to 2 hours of editing and fixing stuff there. Then it processes the entire video and then can cut out portions of silence. So if we're like, if you pause for a thought, 3 seconds, kind of awkward when you're in a car driving and listening to a podcast, and they go, and then you keep talking like I just did. I just trying to think of my next word because my brain, like your brain goes blank sometimes, right? Happens a lot in a lot of podcasts, and it's kind of like, and it's like, are they still talking? Did I lose connection? Is my Spotify stuttering? And then then they talk again. That cuts it all out automatically. So like, it probably does like 95% of the editing for you on the forefront. So the only thing that I have to do is I can literally be doing something else, throw it up on the side, listen to it, and I'm like, oh, that's not weird. And I go back, okay, fix that. So like, podcast is an hour and 20 minutes long. Takes me an hour and a half to like an hour 30 minutes to edit and fix it. Does closed captioning all on its own. You can go in and fix the individual words, and if it, I was saying a certain word and it just could not figure out, like if I was using some type of slang word and I thought I was using a different word continuously throughout, I say, hey, this word is this the entire time, and it goes, all right, cool. Anytime that word is this, it just switches, it fixes it. I mean, it just like it cuts out so much time, which is this allows me to save so much time, and allows me to consistently keep up with having podcasts bi-weekly upload and stick to my schedule so well. So streaming, turn on the stream. I have my time block. Once I turn it on, I turn it off. That's really as much. There's more to, that goes into it, to like the setup, or when you add things, you take things away. like, I mean, there are things that do take some time to better your stream always, but day to day, I don't always have to be putting an effort into or extra effort outside of stream for a stream. So streaming is, for that reason alone is a big push for me to why I am a streamer. I believe I'm a really good streamer. I know what it takes to stream and all that. So streaming, podcasting, I've fallen in love with. I just wanted to do it because I was like, oh, this could be fun. And it's been one of those things that I've not like. I'm always looking for negative feedback. Like I always want constructive criticism because I believe that's really how you improve. I rarely get constructive criticism for the podcast, which I appreciate a lot and shows me that I can like what I'm doing works and people are enjoying it and people return. And I mean, there's multiple people that I know who are like, I genuinely listen to every single podcast the week that it drops. Like, and those, it only takes like 2 or 3. I would still be doing these even if only 2 or 3 people listen to them because I genuinely enjoy them, especially with this new style that I've been doing of having people on, like who just rated me during this, a Kiffer, that he was a great guest to have on. We had some great conversations. Last episode, we had Leviosa Beans, Levi. Some great conversations. J Omega, Wave Defender. The list goes on and continues to go on. And then I also get other content creators who hear about it from their friends who were on the podcast, or if any of our communities line overlap, they hear like, oh, I was listening to this podcast of the streamer that you also know. Like, this was a cool podcast. And I've actually had some of those streamers who I hardly had any interaction with at all or none before. Like, hey, I heard you have this podcast. I'm kind of interested in being on it. And I was like, sweet, dude. I'm adding you to the list. We'll see if we can get you on here for the next few weeks or months ahead. Like, I'm generally like so lucky with like how well the podcast has gone. I have 2 to 3 months of names lined up before I even have to worry about adding more people to the list. And it's just so that also just makes it easy to make content when all the other outside have to take priority. Like, I have to go to my 9 to 5. I have a mortgage. I have a baby. I have a family. To pay for. I don't make anywhere near enough from content creation. I mean, I make some money, but it's definitely not enough I would ever be able to live off of. But also because of that, because I have a 9 to 5, the money I do make from content creation, I'm able to take and pump back into the content creation to improve my content. To hopefully soon, I'm looking to find some people that are like editors or people that will be able to assist me in content creation goals to improve my content and to help me. Like, my next big thing is I want to get my YouTube channel going, especially with long form content. Short form content I can do pretty much on my own. It's not hard. It's just me actually having to getting myself to do it, which goes back to the sitting down to do something. ADHD takes over. I'm like, the struggle of that. But like I just think that long form YouTube content is always going to be king in the long run. You talk to any big content creator, even streamers, they're like, you ask them, if you had to give up YouTube or Twitch, which one would you do? They're like, man, like I love YouTube with everything I do, but YouTube is king. Because once you get following on YouTube and you get videos up, those videos are always there. You only grow on Twitch, only have people coming in, revenue coming in. Like, you have to be live. If you stop streaming one day, you're not going to have an archive that people can go back on. I mean, you technically have your VODs, but eventually they get deleted. And there's only and even if you highlighted all your streams, you only get a finite amount of space for that as well, especially with the new policies that Twitch has put in place. And yeah, exactly. Your Twitch audience is only as big as you stream. You can't. It's just not realistic to stream 12 hours a day unless you're like an absolute psycho and just don't have any other responsibilities as well. But you post on YouTube, those videos are always there, and people can always find those videos, interact with those videos. like, oh my god, I've never found this guy before. I love his videos. Holy shit, there's like 4 years worth of video archives of this content that I'm really enjoying. There's like, it's basically passive income at that point for a bigger content creator that has good quality and a lot of videos. So a lot of big content creators who are both sides do say that they would prefer, or like they would have to choose YouTube for the monetary value alone. I mean, and that's the thing too, Grim. I mean, some people also just, I mean, that's the whole thing about content creation. I mean, you could, and Twitch is like, and Twitch, you don't grow off Twitch just from Twitch. You have to do networking. You have to grow on other platforms and yada, yada, yada. There's no algorithm on Twitch to grow. YouTube has an algorithm. TikTok has an algorithm. Any of these video platforms have algorithms to take your video and put it in front of the person that wants to click on that video. Because that is better for the content creator and that is better for the viewer. The viewer can rely on their homepage to give them videos that they want to watch every single time they open the website. That keeps them there. That gives them ad revenue. You know, everybody gets rich. Well, YouTube gets rich. Some content creators get well off over a long, very, very, very long grind. But that's my very long rant on trying to manage that. Biggest thing is just it's hard to manage all the time. But and I think the biggest thing too, take care of your mental health. If you're trying to do content creation and you're not staying aware to yourself, you will burn yourself out. You will cause yourself to crash and burn. It's very mentally taxing. Yes, there are jobs that are harder in life and that suck more than being a content creator, obviously. But I think content creation is probably one of the harder things that I've ever done. Quite honestly, at least to the point of the last year and a half of where I've been trying to grow, trying to make this something bigger than it is, and try to find success within content creation. My mental health has struggled, and without a support group, without my wife supporting me to do this and allowing me to, I don't want to say allowing, but allowing me to also, because when I'm live, when I'm streaming, when I'm creating content, especially with my daughter, I can't be, like fully watching her and engaging with her the entire time. That's time that my wife needs, she was on baby duty, taking care of the baby for me, so I'm allowed and able to stream for hours at a time, and then on non-stream days, sit down and edit and network and record podcasts offline, and just put, probably at least a minimum of 20 hours a week into content creation. That because I stream for 10 hours a week, roughly 8 to 10 hours a week, and then I try to do another 10-ish hours of other content creation, whether it be podcasting, creating shorts, doing long form YouTube content. And also, content creation is not cheap to do. I mean, granted, it depends on what type of content creation you're doing. Some is cheaper, is not nearly as expensive as others. Like, I don't know, vlogging, and maybe you can just do on a laptop and have some type of, you can do off your phone nowadays with how good the cameras are. But doing gaming content is so expensive. You have to have a system or a gamer rig that is capable of even running the games of today, much less usually also running additional software that isn't going to cause your entire computer to crash, and then taking all that to repurpose it for shorts and YouTube and everything else. And then if you want to up your quality, you need to get a nicer camera. You need to understand how lighting works and get lights. And there's always something. And you could be Tyler One and use a gaming headset with a shit $5 mic. But if you really want to improve that quality, you need to get a nicer microphone, which is another probably minimum $75, if not more, all the way up to like probably $1,000 I want to spend more than that really for content creation. But so, thousands of dollars over the long run is probably what I've put into content creation alone. I've definitely not made that back. But it's something that I just enjoy so much and want to. And I think at the end of the day, even if I didn't grow and get to the point where I'm at, I would still always make some type of content for. It's just something that I've truly found my fulfillment doing. I've met so many amazing people online, made so many friends, and the whole reason I even started content in the first place was because when I watched, especially like Firo Ski, I watched him basically every single day. And if I had a shit day, like I was watching him back in high school, if I had a shit day at school or just a shit day in general, and he went live, I had somebody just to talk to, take my mind off things, just make me feel better. And I was like, you know what? That's really cool. I want to do that for somebody. I want to make content where somebody can be like, I want to throw a Buddy Red, whether it be his stream, podcast, YouTube, whatever it is. Get a laugh, have some fun. Even if I'm streaming, talk to me, chat with me, tell me you got a shit day. Let's just let's vibe, have a good time, and get your mind off whatever terrible shit thing is going on in your life. And within before I ever hit a year, I had somebody like, dude, thank you so much for being a streamer. Like, you make my bad days better. So if I turned off the stream, never streamed again, I'll say my streaming content creation journey was a success. I made a positive impact on people's lives. And that's all I ever wanted to do in the first place. And that's all I still like. The day that people say that I'm not fun to hang out with, my content's bad, unenjoyable, it makes their day worse, is the day that I stop. But as long as somebody keeps showing up saying thank you for creating content, I enjoy your content, we'll continue to make some type of content in some type of way until it's just no longer an option, really. It's just what I've found purpose in, I guess. Not that like my pride and joy is my family first before anything. But secondly, I just find so much pride and purpose in content creation, and just like the amount of positivity and love that I can bring to people and people bring to me just through it all is more than I could ever ask for. And then on top of that, the fact that people want to support me and coming and like watching all my content or going out of the way to watch a YouTube video, all the way up to subbing to things on YouTube, or not Twitch, and cheering bits, subbing, other ways to monetarily support me as well, which helps promote and improve content and content creation, which is more than I could have ever asked for. So like it's pretty freaking awesome. We're just going to hit like maybe one or two more topics and then probably wrap this up. I don't want this to go on too long. Let's go on to something that's a little bit lighthearted. A recommended indie music artist. Definitely going to have to say, so actually this is J Omega. He's already been on, is a rapper, and really he has some really cool messages through his rapping. Also, just big supporter of him. He supports me. I genuinely enjoy his music. I think what he makes is good, and you can tell he's talented, especially with like, I just don't listen to rap. It's not my cup of tea typically. I genuinely enjoy everything that he makes. It's freaking awesome, dude. Oliver Dodge is a newer artist that I've met kind of recently within the last year. Listened to his stuff a good bit. It's really good. You guys won't be disappointed. It's I didn't even realize at first when I started listening to it, but it's a Christian music, but it's very poppy, pop rock, pop-ish type. It's just really, really good. But so it's family friendly music too. Just very happy and gets you dancing. It's a lot of fun to listen to. White Hot. Talk about one, they're hard to find on Spotify because they're suppressed by the algorithm, and some other names around White Hot kind of get bumped up above them. They're smaller, but they generally are one of my like new favorite bands I've actually found. The singer is a Twitch streamer, MJPK Too Sweet. He was on the podcast, and we are kind of in the talks of doing something with the entire band eventually, which I can't wait for. I really hope that comes to fruition. They are releasing an album, I believe, in August or September. They don't have an exact date yet. And they are like an indie, like fun rock type thing. I don't even know what genre they'd fit in, but like I love rock music. So they're like perfectly right up my alley. They're probably my favorite band. They're one of like probably top 5 favorite bands, honestly. Really cool music, and I think they have a lot of potential. They just haven't got that stroke of luck yet. It's really cool music. That would probably be my top 3 for sure. There's always more, but I think that's to move on to one more topic before the end of this. I'll say those are my top 3, 4. I don't remember. Yeah, and then content inspirations. Let's do that one. Let's do who inspires me. So there's so many though, just through my life. So let's start when I was 12 years old. Charles Trippy a very OG YouTuber. He still makes content. He still does vlogs. He does family vlogs now. I guess he's always just done life vlogs in general. I originally wanted to make vlogs, which I actually attempted. I think they're on the YouTube channel still. I watched him every single day religiously. He probably was my first inspiration of piquing my interest to make content. But that was the only time outside of gaming content that I really got that inspiration from somebody. I think I actually have some like old vlogs on a camera somewhere that's probably trash or in a dump at this point. But I mean, it's just like walking around a circle and doing like, talking to a camera that I don't even know what about. I was middle school age, so who knows what it was. But I think what really got me into content creation though was wanting to do gaming, especially through the Pokemon space, which I probably would have started when I was in high school. But back then, to do like what was mainstream Pokemon content, you needed a 3DS with a capture card built in, and it cost hundreds of dollars because you had to send your 3DS off to like few specific people that could even do it. So it was very expensive to do. I didn't have the money to do it. And there wasn't really I don't know. I was like a weird, dumb, untech savvy person in high school, which is kind of funny considering I have a computer science degree and now run an IT department. But like, so like even emulators, I just like it broke my brain. I couldn't understand it. Yeah, welcome in, Tosh. So it wasn't really an option, I guess. OBS was weird. There weren't good tutorials on YouTube to follow along to figure it out. So that's a big reason why I never even really started until I was in college. Plus, getting a rig that could stream in the first place. Got a really, really shitty computer at the time, was like 7, which I limped along until that thing literally died. And then bought my computer that I just switched out over the last year. And yeah, so now I'm on my third one now. But within that Pokemon space, definitely like Game Boy Luke was one I watched a lot. Ski, I was my inspiration to start streaming, like my hands-on inspiration. Shady Penguin was a big one. I still love Shady. I still watch his content all the time. Especially with just like how much he's branched out from Pokemon stuff and does other things as well. Like at the end of the month, at the end of May 31st, I'll be doing a streamathon instead of a subathon. One, I never really thought about it that way, of doing a streamathon rather than a subathon. But same boat that he's in, he has 3-4 kids. I don't remember exactly. He has a lot. He has a family with a lot. He's got at least 3 kids. Where his kids are growing up. He wants to be able to spend time with them every day. The last time he did a subathon, it was like 3 months, I think, or it was a while. And he was sleeping on the floor of his office for the subathon. He was like, it's just like not happening. And one, I can't take off. I don't know how long a subathon might go. Because I feel like the only way to do a subathon is to do it uncapped. I just feel like capped is cheating it a little bit. Or you're going to have to be like, if I want to do 12 hours, my stuff's going to be, I want to say, undervalued for the size of content creator I am. But I really like the idea of a streamathon. So I'll stream every day, minimum of 2 hours after work, and then weekends will be longer. Yo, what's up, MJ? Speaking of MJ, with the singer White Hot, I was just talking about you as one of the recommended and favorite indie artists that music artist. Pokemon streaming is insane. I think the thing about Pokemon is you're only as popular as the next game, which can get hard. Yeah, Pokemon does definitely come in waves. Really, really very large influx. Yeah, live podcast. What's up, Tosh? How are you? Yeah, so he was doing I got the idea from him. I don't know where he got the idea or if other people had done it, but I was like, this is just like such a cool idea where I can start one day and like, all right, I gotta get off, guys. It's bedtime for the girlie. I want to get the girl down. I want to spend time with the wife. I got work tomorrow. So let's, sorry, I'm reading chat. Let's pause the timer and stream. Let's pack up for today. And I'll see you guys tomorrow at this time after I go to work, get home, do the things and, knock off a few hours of the timer, which, people can add to. I'm so lucky and grateful of my generous community where I'm pretty sure we've already added 2 hours. So my initial timer is going to be 4 hours. And I was like, guys, I'm doing a subathon at the end of the month, like May 31st, start of June. Hold your bits, hold your subs for the subathon. I was like, but Grant, like even if you guys bit or sub, I don't want your like them to go to like quote unquote waste. So I'll add them to the timer. They're not going to be added to the incentive list, but I think we're already added 2 hours, so it's already a 6-hour initial timer, which is freaking awesome. And 4 days, oh god, dude, my wife's going to kill you. But like, obviously, I don't ever think that I'm going to go like a month. I'm like, I don't know, probably go like maybe an extra like 2 hours, but he's going to be the Iron Man of Twitch marathon, man. I don't know about that. That's going to be crazy. But I think the subathon also just like the subathon idea or streamathon idea is a really cool idea, cool concept, way to balance the consecration and life balance. And it allows me to have this like to be able to do like a birthday streamathon where also like do something for the community, be able to give back to the community because we're going to be doing giveaways and all that cool fun stuff, and just hopefully have like a really cool fun time all together. Some other content creators, definitely like once I started watching streams, then the Tatman's really cool one that like really I feel like paved the way for content creators but I think the ones that have had the biggest impact on me since I started streaming are the small creators that I've met, just that have or friends really. Just all the friends I've made along the way are the people that keep me going, and the community that has formed that I've been able to create and that we've created together just is the inspiration to keep me going. It's a lot of fun. It's more than I ever thought I would have, and I don't want to get too sappy or or any of that, but it's just where I'm at now is just way more than I ever thought it was going to be. Way more reach than I ever thought I was going to have. Way more, and which is awesome where everything has ended up. To all those in chat right now, I appreciate the shit out of all y'all. Just sitting here yapping and to have all y'all in here chilling, hanging out is pretty cool. But for the podcast listeners, thank you guys for listening. I really do appreciate it. Next episode, we'll have a guest back. I don't know who's going to be. I don't have another podcast ready yet, but I will. If you want to know, you can join the Discord. Follow me. I do talk about podcast a lot. I'll tell people once the episodes are recorded and stuff like that. But anywhere, all my social links will be in a link tree or other places down below. And just if you want to join the awesome community, check out my Twitch, check out my Discord. This is where we like to gather a couple times a week. The Discord the Discord has been so freaking active and has been growing like crazy over the last few months, especially where we are just active every single day in Discord, and it is so cool to see. And like that's really like I have a lot of pride in that. To have people like wanting to chat to others in the Discord, I'm able to keep chatting with the community and hang out with y'all every single day, even when I'm offline and not streaming or anything like that. So I want to stop rambling. I'll let the listeners go. But again, thank you guys so much for listening. I'll see you guys in the next one. Mwah.